The crypto space again, guys, it is still red. It is still red, but we got something very important I want to share with you here today, guys. Something that you really want to see, because this looks like this is the opportunity that we all been waiting for when things were going up. And I'm going to tell you why here in today's video. So the reason I started looking at this is very obvious, right? We all here are concerned for our altcoins. And if you're like me, most of your money is in the crypto space, you're pretty much worried about the health of this space here. And especially if you go to Twitter, right? Twitter makes everything looks even 10 times worse. Or if you are in any group chats, or if you are on any, even on YouTube, if you go to top influencers, they all got these red thumbnails, right? Open mouth thumbnails, and they're all freaking out. So it does raise some concerns, right? It does raise some concerns, and you really want to pay attention to that. So since I hold a lot of crypto as well, and it really hurts, and it will hurt if these things just drop, it will hurt me personally a lot. So I do care a lot about that, and I do think that a lot of you as well care about if this is the opportunity that we all be waiting for to buy more, or if this is the top as everybody is saying now, right? If you go on Twitter, you see your boy BitBoy everywhere as representing the crypto space. So it really comes down to one thing, guys, and you've seen it. It comes down to ETH, but one thing as well we want to talk about as well, which probably most of you or some of you seen, is that the DOJ cleared to sell. So basically the US government had some funds seized, right, from Silk Road, which was an illegal place where you can buy and sell drugs back in the days using Bitcoin, and they confiscated that, and the amount today of that Bitcoin value is 6.5 billion, and basically they were cleared to sell it. And this news came out. So this news came out here. I'm gonna put the tweet here. So on TradingView, if you actually copy paste the tweet and you put it and you pass it on the chart, it will show you exactly the time when this came out. So the news actually came out here right around this time here. So you can see that we pretty much retraced back the news. Well, you'd see that this news is a very big one, right? Because the German government sold around 2 billion, right? Before we even started pumping, right? We all remember that time. And back then, this really caused a larger sell-off. But obviously as well, Germany was selling. Now here, the US is not selling. So when it comes to this news, what do I think here? I think this is very bullish to see that Bitcoin did not drop on a bad news. So this shows a lot of strength. This shows also those weak hands, those spaghetti hands are clearly out now. Those that freak out very quickly, panic sell very quickly, are clearly out. Also, there is the other aspect to it, is that probably the insiders that got the news first were the ones that started the sell-off or initiated the sell-off here, and then the news came out. So it's something like buy the rumor, sell the news. When something is pumping, it's the reverse. So the rumor, like sell the rumor, then buy the news. So basically the news came out, and then we're seeing some recovery from Bitcoin. But not only that, we do have the unemployment rates that came out less than expected. So the expected one, the estimated basically was 4.2%, and the actual that came out today is 4.1%. So this is actually very good, because this is part of what the market was fearing as well. We have this still this 90K support on Bitcoin holding, exactly like I shown you on the previous video, whereas this just looks like an normal January drop that we get every year, especially bullish years like 2025 as well is, and pretty much it's still playing the same now, like this January here and this January here. So anyways, what I want to get to here is ETH BTC. This is basically what I started the video with, and why I think this is it. This is one of these opportunities. This is one of those times that people wish they had a dip when things were pumping, and they once the dip comes, they are not ready for it, or they freak out because there is a dip. But this is the ETH BTC chart, and we are looking at ETH because this pump here on ETH against Bitcoin was the previous altcoin season as well, here to 2017 to 2021. So basically it's just been going down. So that's why we wanted to start to go back up. This means if ETH starts to go back up, this is very, very, very bullish for altcoins. Since the market now really loves this Fed's rates, right? Fed funds rates. The market wants to see the rates drop to zero, basically. So keep that in mind. This is what started everything back in the days. It's when it dropped, but ETH BTC started pumping in 2021. Basically, also it was close to zero in 2017, while it started growing and started increasing. But its peak really happened around 1.8%, and still it was still rallying. So the rates were not too high, which today they stand at 4.5%, which is very high compared to even 2017 peak rates. So the market really wants these to drop. That's why the market is looking at the unemployment rates and what the economy in general is doing, because that affects the Fed's rate cuts. And it's very clear today that this really does impact the ETH BTC price, and ETH really needs this to drop. So here we have something very important to keep in mind and to understand that ETH BTC is bottomed here. This is the most important thing that I want to share in today's video, to show you guys that we are going to head higher, that we're going higher in terms of altcoins, in terms of the altcoin season is still ahead of us, and we're still going to see higher prices. This is also what I had to do yesterday, to sleep in peace, seeing what happens or what's happening here, knowing that I hold a lot of cryptocurrency in terms of value. So this does matter to me a lot, and I'm sure it does matter to you also a lot. So what we have here is, which is funny as well, the time is pretty much similar. First rate cut happened and this is in 2019. Keep that in mind. 2019, the rates were as high as 2.4%. The first rate cut happened in June or July. So slowly the Fed started cutting slowly each time, or each month they have a meeting, they cut. Then in December, they pretty much did not cut. And then they completely dropped it, nuked it to zero around February 2020. So this is important to keep in mind. Look, now this is here is the ETH BTC. ETH BTC kept dropping here, kept dropping right after the rates, the first rate cut. It did not stop dropping. Let's have the rates for a second. So you can see that it kept dropping after the cut, but then it bottomed on doing a double bottom around January, where the second bottom happened in January of 2020. This is crazy, guys, to look at. It really bottomed in January of 2020, right after the first rate cut, which happened as well in July. So if we look at now here, the last highest rate happened here in July as well. And by November, pretty much they said they cut. But we're gonna look at exactly here in July, like we have here the highest point, from the highest point, and it started dropping from the highest point. Since it started dropping, it's also happened in July, or the highest point in rate cuts was in July, while ETH BTC was dropping here. Now we're in January and we're seeing the double bottom playing out as well, guys. You can see that the double bottom, this is the first one, and we're probably gonna do something like this to mark another one, here. And then we're gonna reverse. Now ETH BTC is telling us basically that this part here of ETH USDT is pretty much the bottom as well. It's pretty much the bottom. Now it depends what Bitcoin is gonna do. This still could come back down to 3,000 straight up, because now it's at 3,280. But as soon as it's gonna break out, we're gonna see ETH finally breaking out. So this is important, because once ETH breaks its all-time high, this is when we start the real altcoin season. This happened over and over. So especially now, this is the 2017, and comparing that to the 2019. So this is basically what was the 2021 altcoin season. This was this ETH above its all-time high. In ETH BTC terms, it was this part here. In ETH BTC terms, this was this part. So what we're basically waiting for the ETH BTC to do is to pull something similar, to do something like that. So this is the part where we see ETH USDT going up higher. I would be very cautious if ETH BTC has been trending higher, has been on an uptrend, and then we have all these FOD in the market, and then we have Bitcoin FOD, and we have altcoins doing what they're doing now. I'll be concerned. But because the ETH BTC is still here and hasn't really started moving up, I'm feeling way better knowing that possibly we are, very likely, we are just around here, putting that double bottom before we start trending higher for the actual meme coin and altcoin season and craziness season, and NFT pictures selling off for $5 million. So that all is still ahead of us now. Looking at this, that's what got me to feel relaxed and calm about my holdings of cryptocurrencies and my money being into cryptocurrencies. Now, the second thing that really is very interesting and it keeps me calm knowing that my altcoins are safe is the fear and greed index, which is at 43. Now, 43 is the level we were at back in October of 2024 and June, July as well of 2024 and June, July of 2023. And if we go back to our, let's say, if we go back to others, which is all other cryptocurrencies besides the top 10, if we look at October of 2024, this is right around it. This is October. So this was close to a bottom on others. Now, if we look at June and July area here, is this one also. So pretty much we can say that this part here all along, the fear and greed index was around neutral or fear. So it was here. It also was a bottom, mind you. So here is as well around or below neutral, below 50. In as well in June, July of 2023. June, July 2023, it was here. This was also the worst time. And this marks, if we look at the fear and greed, this was this part here. This was the worst fear we had in the market back in the day. So usually fear marks bottoms and greed marks tops. So now we are pretty much heading towards that fear area kind of place, where now you see in March, April of 2024, greed, or we went to that extreme greed, it did mark the top. If you look at any altcoin, and if you go to others, which basically shows you most of the altcoins, if we look at others, this is March 2024, this was the top. So this is pure greed here. And if we look at as well, if we look at it here, recently it went to that extreme greed around November. So mind you, both times it stayed around a week in extreme greed, which is very not usual for bull markets. Bull markets, we stay there for at least a month or 2 months, but now we stay around only 1 week or 2 weeks. But this is due to ETH not being very, very strong, and it's a lot of things that go that are not really here yet. That's why also we keep saying that bull market or altcoin season hasn't happened yet, because we are not seeing extended periods of extreme greed. But anyways, whenever we get to the top of it, recently since 2023, whenever we get to the top of it, we mark the top. Whenever we get to the bottom, we mark the bottom. So we mark the bottom on altcoins. That's why I'm saying time to buy everything. Everything is bottomed now. We have the ETH BTC bottomed, and we have others bottomed. Fear and greed also bottomed. So fear and greed is at 43. We might see it go back down to maybe 40, but it really starts shading real orange when it goes to that 37. And it really happened 2 times this far since 2023. It happens in July, and then it did happen in September or early September. If we look at others in early September, this was also here. So it was around here. That was the only time. And also this part, June, July, this was this dip here. So each time it goes there, it's pretty much a buy signal. It's pretty much it. Buy signal, wait for everything to start pumping. So we are there. That's why here today, I'm not worried looking at these markets. I'm not worried. I think that they are going to start pumping up again. And interestingly enough as well, which is something very important to keep in mind, is others is pulling up these higher highs. It's kind of showing strength slowly. After each time we see fear in the market, we're seeing less and less. You can see the fear went really low compared to in 2023. In 2024, it went way lower. But when it comes to the market reaction to it, it was stronger. We had a higher high in others. This is a sort of bullish divergence, we call it. As well as if we look at the BTC, ETH BTC chart, I forgot to show you that, guys, is we have the RSI showing bullish divergence on the weekly. This is very important. This is how I actually caught the bottom on Bitcoin in 2022, and I'm going to show you that. here is another way to see that ETH-BTC's bottom is looking at this RSI here going up, which is a bullish divergence when the RSI is kind of gaining strength, but the price is not. So this shows you that there is more and more strength to the market, while the price is not showing you that. The price is just going sideways like that. So this is important because that happened as well here in this bottom. We also had bullish divergence on the RSI. If we look at it this way, we have the same thing happened here. RSI, bullish RSI. You see that? RSI pulled higher highs, higher lows, while the price was doing a double bottom. This is a textbook bullish divergence. We have the same here. Now, if I show you Bitcoin did have the same thing. Usually this is very powerful at looking and finding bottoms. When it comes to the RSI, you can see that also, I remember this, like literally that's what got me to start buying Bitcoin. So in 2022, you see in the RSI as well, you see the price is putting lower highs and it's weak, right? Very weak. But the RSI, which stands for Relative Strength Index. So you can see that this also was showing strength while the price was weak. The same thing we see with the RSI here with ETH-BTC. That's why I'm very bullish on this ETH-BTC thing. It looks bottomed as well, bottomed here, and as well you can see here now. So price RSI is showing strength while the ETH-BTC chart is kind of weak. The price is not really looking great, but the RSI is showing us that this is pretty much as well the bottom. So a lot of things are showing this is the bottom, and we should be starting to trend higher very soon, as soon as we get across, or as soon as we get done with this recent FOD, with this recent sell-off, and the emotions cool off, and the dopamine from all this craziness that happened cool off, and people come back to their senses and whatnot, and take a breather. We should start seeing the market doing it better and better. Now, we always still need the rate cuts. Those are very important to happen, and we really need to understand what can cause the rates to start dropping. So as I explained in the previous video, we have the US national debt increasing over and over. It's increasing exponentially. It is crazy how fast this thing is going, and the Feds will have to step in to help or bail out the government by actually printing money, which means as well these rates starts to go down. So keep that in mind, especially that we have now Trump coming in. So definitely a lot of things are going to change in terms of what was going on with the Feds recently, with them hiking rates and increasing them. A lot of things are going to change. I don't think they will be able to keep this high. I don't think so. So the market is now still fearful in terms of like the rate cuts are not going to decrease. But I do think they will have to do it some way or another. They will have to do it because they cannot just keep that going. Anyways, guys, now to wrap this up, Bitcoin is still in its kind of trying to find a range. As I said, I do think we're still repeating early January kind of structure where we got this take the lows, which very simple. We had it happen in 2021, early 2021. This is something we've seen here. We've seen the same thing. If we just hide everything here and you look at it, it was the same thing, right? It was as well lower highs early January, January of 2021, before the actual bull market. We had the same thing happened here. Same thing, lower highs. So I do think it's just playing out the same way as it does today. It's pretty similar, very similar. It's shockingly similar. So let's go back here. As we can see, it's very, very similar, and that's why I'm not worried. I do think we're gonna put another bubble bottom here. Maybe a worst case scenario is we see Bitcoin briefly going below 90K on a wick and then back up quickly here just to take out the previous lows. But in general, I do think this is breaking out higher here. This is pretty much what we did, and you know what this means, guys, is that we are gonna see recovery. Nothing to worry about. I do think we're still good here. We do have 10 days to go for the inauguration for Trump, and hopefully we do get those rate cuts, because it appears they are very important to us when it comes to altcoins. And when it comes to ETH-BTC starting to pump, and ETH starting to pump, and altcoins starting to pump. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.